All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Will Torrance from Pinnacle Financial Services. And just to give you kind of a brief biography of myself, I've been in the industry for about 18 years, worked with a number of different broker-dealers and also investment management firms, as well as marketing agencies and insurance marketing agencies. So have some definite experience with the topic that we're going to be covering today, and I'm glad that you've decided to spend some time with us today because this is a very important topic moving forward. And it says planning strategies and terms, and the invite said Social Security 101. So I'm going to probably be covering some things that some of you on the call have experience with or have heard about, but definitely want to give you the 30,000-foot view of this important topic and why it's such a specific strategy that you need to incorporate into your practice now, because many individuals out there that are approaching claiming Social Security or are on Social Security currently either did not get the right information when they claimed or did not get the additional information that could have potentially caused them to have a much bigger benefit for a longer period of time. So with all that said, let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an overview of Social Security. We're going to be taking a look at some of the maximization strategies for Social Security and then some of the future expectations that are going to be taking place. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard or maybe done some research or are either receiving Social Security benefits or approaching that type of environment. So I want to handle some of those future expectations of the actual Social Security Administration as well. So just some history. This is just to give you kind of some context. Like I said, some of these terms I'm sure you've probably heard, but it was passed as the Social Security Act in 1934 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The original goal was to provide a comprehensive package of protection against anything that could happen to individuals. Now, obviously, during that time, there was a lot of legislation going into place because of the Great Depression and things of that sort. So this was one of the first of those. I'm not going to get into a political conversation here, but one of those social safety net type of situations that was being enacted by the government. So what is the question? What is Social Security? It's actually insurance against the event that an individual will be unable to work. And there's going to be three instances in which that could actually take place. Number one would be old age and not being able to work anymore. Disability, which is something that is distinctly possible to any of us at any age. And then obviously the last one would be death. So let's go over some of the facts and figures of Social Security. These are pretty astronomical if you actually stop and take a second to look at them. 65 million individuals will receive Social Security benefits in 2020. It's a lot of people. So just think about that as we're going through the rest of the presentation and consider the opportunities that are going to be presented by that number and then the additional numbers that are going to be going on to Social Security as potential clients that you might be working with right now. This is a scary one. 9 out of 10 individuals age 65 and older receive benefits, and it represents 33% of the income received by the elderly. Those two together, like I said, they're a little bit scary in and of the fact that a third of the elderly out there solely rely on the income received from Social Security. Among elderly, 50% of the married couples and 70% of unmarried receive 50% or more of the income from Social Security. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. The reason why I'm letting that sink in for a second is because of the fact that ultimately the social safety net is all that these people have. So I'm going to be getting into it a little bit further on in the presentation. it really presents a huge opportunity for everyone on the phone now to be discussing this with their friends, their family, and anybody else that they could potentially come in contact with that is going to ultimately receive benefits from the Social Security Administration. 21% of the elderly married couples and about 45% of unmarried rely on Social Security for 90% of their income. So that just kind of goes back to what I was saying previously. Estimated from the Social Security Administration, 178 million workers are covered under Social Security as of 2019. So we're going to continue with some of the facts about Social Security here. 49% of the workforce has no private pension coverage. That's why this program is so integral to individuals out there, because private pensions are gone. Let's just be honest. There's probably, 100 companies, legitimate companies out there that still offer pensions. So this is just going to be a huge piece of the puzzle for these individuals. This is an interesting number. By 2035, the number of Americans 65 and older will increase from 56 million to over 78 million. That's going to put some more strain on the Social Security Administration and benefits. And then this third piece, 2.8 workers for every Social Security beneficiary. And then by 2035, it will only be 2.3 workers for every beneficiary. Once again, putting strain on the Social Security benefit that individuals are entitled to. So now we're going to move into the qualification for benefits. Obviously, this is important. This is something that you're going to want to be able to relay to your clients. There are minimum requirements, obviously. You have to have worked at least 10 years, and the way the benefits are calculated is the highest 35 years of earnings. So what I'm going to do is just get into how these are calculated. Now, I'm going to make a caveat right here. I put a lot of this information in here to give you some insights into how the benefits are going to be calculated. Now, the caveat is this. You really don't have to know a lot of what I'm going to be going over right now. The Social Security Administration allows you, if you're meeting with a client, to figure out what their estimated benefits are going to be by going to the SSA.gov website. Now, I might be moving a little bit fast here, but anybody that has any questions or wants a individual conversation with me on how to actually do this with a client and show them how to access what their estimated benefits are, I'll be more than happy to do that with you, and it's actually a very valuable way to do some planning with your clients moving forward. So I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. Like I said, if you want some additional information, please feel free to reach out to me, and my information will be at the end of the call. So you compute an insured worker's benefit, you adjust or index their earnings to reflect the change in general wage levels that occurred during the worker's years of employment. Pretty straightforward. The indexation ensures that a worker's future benefits reflect the general rise in the standard of living that occurred during his or her lifetime. Up to 35 years of earnings are needed to compare what the adjusted index monthly earnings benefit is. After we determine the number of years, we choose those years with the highest indexed earnings. Take the sum of indexed earnings, divide the total amount by the number of months in those years, then round the resulting average amount down to the next lower dollar amount. Now, obviously, we're not all accountants. We're not all math majors here. So a lot of that stuff is probably going to go right over your head, as it did when I first read it. So I'm going to reiterate. This is just for information purposes only. We don't really need to know all of this information in order to assist our clients, but I thought it was pertinent to put it in here so that you knew what the terms were when we were going over this during the presentation. So the adjusted index monthly earnings, AIME, continued. You become eligible to receive retirement benefits at age 62. A lot of you probably are aware of that. If 2020 were the year of eligibility, we would divide the national average wage index for 2018. There's a 2-year prior look. That number is $52,145.80. So we take that by the national average wage index for each year prior to 2018, in which the worker had earnings, and multiply each such ratio by the worker's earnings. This produces the indexed earnings for each year prior to 2018. That's where our benefit is going to be coming from. We then consider any earnings in or after 2018 at face value but no indexing. Then the AIME is computed and use this amount in computing the worker's primary insurance amount for 2020. So that's the important number. So all of that I just went through, obviously lots of words, lots of computations. Much of it is not going to be necessary for you in assisting your clients with the important part of this, which is the PIA. So now we're going to get into what the primary insurance amount is. It's the sum of 3 separate percentage portions of what the AIME was that we just went over previously, and that's fixed by law. The dollar amounts in the formula change annually, though, with changes in the national average wage index. Obviously, there's going to be changes in the average across the nation. These dollar amounts, called bend points, once again, these are just terms that I want to make you familiar with, but most of this is not going to be something that we're going to have to get into much detail on, govern the portions of the AIME. So these current bend points in 2020 for the PIA formula are $960 and $5,875, which apply for workers that become ineligible this year. So that's for this year and an individual that would claim at 62 or whatever age that they start claiming in this year. So here's an example. A person with maximum taxable earnings each year since age 22 and retires at 62 in 2020 would have an AIME of $10,683. Based on this amount and the bend points that we had referred to previously, the PIA would equal $3,142.70 per month. That's the important number. I want to stress this. This is the important number that they can actually access and you can help them access on SSA.gov. Now, if they did take this at age 62, this is another important fact. That benefit is actually going to be reduced because you're eligible to claim at age 62, but it might not necessarily be the most prudent thing to do. And then also, here's another important fact. The first cost of living adjustment this individual could receive is not until December of 2020. So any type of cost of living adjustment, you might have heard this in passing or researched it online, they're not going to be eligible for that until the end of this year. So, the monthly benefit amounts. The monthly retirement benefits derived from the primary insurance amount may be higher or lower than the PIA. This is what I was referencing previously with someone that decided to claim at age 62. So here's where that hits home. Reduced benefits are paid to one who retires before his or her normal retirement age. So a person cannot collect retirement benefits before 62. So if you retire at exactly 62 in 2020, the benefit will be 25% less than the PIA. So that amount, the $3,142.70 per month, with 25% less, would be $2,357.04 per month. Significant amount. So, benefits can be higher or lower than the PIA if one retires after normal retirement age. We'll get into that in a second. I'm going to have a chart that shows you the retirement ages. The credit given for delayed retirement will gradually reach 8% per year for those born after 1942. I'm going to stop for a second and just take a breath because I'm sure this is a lot of information right now, and just say if you have any questions, please type them into the questions box. I don't know if I'll be able to get to them all during the presentation, but if you do have some, I can always do a personal call with any individual that has any specific questions or clients that they're working with that they would like to have a discussion on this. So now we're going to go into the Social Security estimates. These are in present value. They have not been adjusted for the cost of living adjustments, which obviously is the inflation factors. So the estimates may differ because earnings may have increased or decreased for the individual claimant because of the cost of living adjustments, and estimated benefits are based on current law. So let's just be honest. With what's going on with the COVID-19 crisis and all of the specific legislation that's been going on, the fact that they've been borrowing from the Social Security Fund for a long period of time, there's going to be some new law. So a lot of this stuff that I'm going over with you today, I shouldn't say potentially will change, it will change. But the standard and the preponderance of information that I'm going over today is still going to remain valid. So here's the chart that I was referencing previously with respect to full retirement age, which references back to the example that I was talking about with someone that would claim at age 62. Here's the chart. Full retirement age for someone 1943 through 1954 is currently age 66. This is meaning that they will not receive that reduced 25% benefit if they were claiming at 62 but then deferred. You can claim and then defer taking your benefits until age 66. So we'll go into some of those specifics more. We'll have another presentation on some more specific things. This was more the generic terms and giving you an overview of why this is such an important topic. So you can see in that chart, anybody born after 1960, the full retirement age is 67 in order to receive their full retirement benefits. So now let's take a look at how the age can affect the monthly benefits. These are just generic numbers. These are not specifics. So obviously each individual worker, based on their earnings, based on the AIME, is going to make a determination on what these numbers will actually be. But let's take a look. So we're looking at a person that was born between 1943 and 1954. Their eligible monthly benefit and their max monthly benefit in 2020 based on that age when they start claiming. So as you can see, this references back to that 25% reduction if you take it at age 62. That would give them a monthly benefit for life of $2,265. Now, we're using, back to the chart previously, someone born 1943 to 1954, taking it at age 65. So we only have a reduction there of 6.7%. 66, there you see the 100% benefit at $3,011 per month. And then the deferred credits, and I'll go over this in a little bit more detail. If you wait to age 70, you get 8% deferred credits. So your monthly benefit is increased by 132%. And that is your max benefit that you can get at claiming at age 70. Okay, contributions to Social Security. So the funding for this great, ultimate income benefit for the rest of your life comes from the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, FICA, which a lot of you are probably have heard or are aware of. So wages are subject to tax only up to a certain earnings level. That's the taxable maximum. The max amount in 2020 is $137,700. Here's where some of the onerous things that come into play that none of us like, but unfortunately it's the law. 6.2% of wages in taxes from the worker, 6.2% of wages in taxes from the employer. And here's the really awful one. If you are an individual and you don't work for a company, you are on the hook for the full 12.4%. There's also a 1.4% tax on Medicare, and the FICA taxes make up 83% of the Social Security revenue. 83%. So a huge amount. So after amendments in 1983, Social Security began running surpluses. So now they could do something with the funds. They accumulate over time and are held as bonds in a U.S. Treasury account. The interest is the second source of revenue for the program. It's only about 14% of Social Security revenue. The other portion comes from a tax on higher income beneficiaries, and if working while receiving benefits, there are also potential tax implications. Now, that is a more advanced area that we can go into in more detail, and if you had any specific questions or wanted to go into some specific planning for clients that you're working with, that's an area that I can definitely spend some time with you one-on-one, or if we get some good response from this presentation, we might put together something with a little bit more advanced planning with respect to that. So, contributions continued. You're going to pay tax on only 85% of your Social Security benefits based on IRS rules. And here are the individual rules. If you're an individual filer and the income is between $25,000 and $34,000, you may, not definitely, but you may have to pay income tax on up to 50% of your benefit. More than $34,000 of income, up to 85% of your benefit may be taxed. If you're married and you file a joint return, and you and your spouse have combined income between $32,000 and $44,000, you may have to pay on 50%, and then above $44,000 for a joint filer, 85%. If you marry and file separately, you will almost definitely pay taxes on your benefit. And here's just a definition of what combined income is. It consists of your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security benefits. So here are some considerations. These are the important things that I want to make sure that I'm stressing during this whole thing, because we just went through a lot of information, a lot of definitions, a lot of stuff that most of the individuals out there that are going to be claiming Social Security just don't understand. So these are definite things that if you're not already doing, you should be doing with clients that are approaching retirement and are considering starting to take their Social Security benefits. So what are their retirement goals? Do they have sources of retirement income? What other sources are they? Do they have stocks, bonds? Do they have real estate? Do they have income producing properties? You know, there's a number of different things that could entail. Are you married? What is your life expectancy? Now, this is from a Fidelity study from last year. Social Security also has done their own study, but an age 65 male today could potentially live 20 years. These are averages, and a female 22 years. Age difference. That's a big consideration between you and your spouse. Will your spouse receive his or her own benefits? And are you eligible to file on an ExSpouse record? We're going to go into a little bit more detail on that in the coming slides. So here are the requirements for spousal benefits. One way you can collect benefits is on your spouse's record. The requirements are thus: the spouse is of full retirement age, and if you take them early, it is considered deemed filing. The higher earner has filed, and the maximum spousal benefits are 50% reduced if you take them early. And spousal benefit has to be higher than your own. So technically that would be a higher wage earner. So this is the requirements for filing an ex-spouse's record. There are four. You must apply in order to file for Social Security on an ex-spouse's record. You had to have been married at least 10 years. You could have been divorced from an ex-spouse for more than 2 years. Your ex-spouse must be at least 62 years of age, cannot be remarried or eligible for equal or higher benefits than that ex-spouse, and your benefits as a divorced spouse is equal to 50% of your ex-spouse's primary insurance amount, which we went over previously. Now, these are survivor benefits. Now, I know I'm going through this relatively quickly, so I apologize, but I think that if you have any specific questions or anything, I just want to keep reiterating that we can definitely go over these things in more detail, and I can give you some more insight into exactly the discussion points that you need to be having with these clients, because I'll tell you what, only 4% of individuals that file for Social Security actually are claiming the maximum benefit that they could be, or the proper claiming, 4% of all of those individuals that I have referenced previously. So here we're going to go into collecting survivor benefits. You're entitled to these. If your spouse passes away, you're entitled to a portion of the benefits from your deceased spouse. You can actually take these earlier than age 62, as you can see at age 60, but they're going to be reduced. Another point that I'm going to reiterate, any time that you take benefits when you are eligible does not mean that you are going to maximize them. Now, there's extenuating circumstances, which I'll go over in a little bit more detail as we're moving along here. You're eligible to collect 100% of your higher earning deceased spouse's benefits if the survivor is of full retirement age. So that's referencing back to the chart that I had shown previously. If you do anything before full retirement age, then obviously you're not going to receive 100% of the spouse's benefit. So we're going to continue with this topic. Your widow or widower can receive benefits at any age if he or she takes care of your child who is receiving Social Security benefits and younger than age 16 or disabled. Your unmarried children who are younger than age 18 or up to age 19, if they're attending secondary school full-time, can also receive benefits from the Survivor program. Your children can get benefits at any age if they were disabled before age 22 and are continue to remain disabled. And even your dependent parents can receive survivor benefits if they are age 62 or older. Now we're going to shift. We're going to go into the claiming, like I was referencing previously. You know, there's going to be some opportune times when claiming Social Security and deferring the collection of those benefits. And I've kind of broken those down here for you so that you can get an understanding of when this will work. Now, obviously, with every client that you're going to speak to about this, there's going to be circumstances that are going to either allow them to defer or they're going to need to take them at the time that they're eligible. So if you do take them right at 62 when you're eligible, that's considered receiving payments early. It's beneficial if you have a low life expectancy. The drawbacks are, obviously, a smaller monthly check, smaller survivor benefits if you lose a spouse, and a potential reduction penalty for employment. So if you do start taking benefits and you do get a job where you receive income, these benefits will be reduced. So taking Social Security at full retirement age, that's going to reference back to the chart of the dates of birth. This is obviously going to reference into a higher monthly check, higher survivor benefits, and no penalty for employment. So here's the difference. You take it 62 and you're working, your benefits are going to be reduced. You wait till full retirement age, your check is higher, and there's no penalty for employment. But there are no interim benefits. And now the maximization strategy is waiting till age 70, the highest amount, highest survivor, and no penalty for employment. The only issue there is if you really need the income now, you're receiving the benefits later. I'm going to go over something called break-even points. These are going to reference back to the claiming strategies that was in the previous slide. So if we take a look at when you're first eligible at age 62 versus waiting till age 66, and I'm just using a generic there for the dates of birth, and that would be the full retirement age. So the break-even point for someone at age 62 to receive the same amount of benefits as someone at age 66 is between age 77 and 78. So that's why I was referencing previously, if you have a low life expectancy and you start taking your benefits at age 62, it might be okay. But if you live past that 77 and 78 age group, then you're good claiming at age 62. But we don't have a crystal ball. So unfortunately, that's an area where we can be having a discussion with our clients and really educating them on this. And I'm going to break in here with something that's not in the slideshow. When a claimant calls the Social Security Administration, it's actually in the handbook for the Social Security Administration to not give advice. I'm going to say that again. When they call, they are not there to provide advice to a client that is claiming their Social Security benefits. They are only there to provide information based on what their primary insurance amount is and their monthly benefits and give them the numbers. If they ask for advice, it's actually in the handbook for those individuals that are answering the phone to not give any advice. So this is where our job can become duly important. Next one, age 62 versus age 70. Now the break-even age is between 80 and 81 to receive the same amount of benefits. And then just continuing on, age 66 versus 70, the break-even point is between 83 and 84. And like I had referenced, we don't have a crystal ball on life expectancy or catastrophic issues that might happen. So what this basically tells us is determining when to take benefits can be highly personal. You might need money now. Maybe you don't need money now. So what our job is as individuals that should be informing ourselves on this important topic is to give these people the information that the Social Security Administration will not give them to make sure that they are getting the maximum lifetime benefits that they've been paying taxes into the administration for years on. That is our job, and that is a huge opportunity. So I'm going to go into claiming Social Security when you're single. So these are just some generic guidelines with respect to this. Like I said in the previous slide, we don't know their specific financial situation or what their intentions are. So just generically, for a single woman with an average life expectancy, and going back to the Fidelity Investment Study, that's 22 years for a woman. It could be potentially the best strategy to wait until age 70 to get maximum benefits. And for a single male, it could potentially be the most beneficial to wait till age 68. So here's an example. Mary is age 62, so she's claiming when she's first eligible. She has a $1,500 monthly for life. At 66, it now increases to $2,000. And at 70, it increases to $2,640. So as you can see here, by waiting till age 70, Mary has increased her monthly benefits by 76% and lifetime benefits by 13%. Now, with more women working, these types of situations might end up changing. A lot of this stuff that I'm referencing here would ultimately be derived from the fact that the male is the primary wage earner. If that is flipped, then ultimately we're going to have some opportunities there to be having some discussions with these clients on what exactly is going to be the most beneficial maximization strategy. And then also going back to the ex-spouse and also survivor benefits that I referenced previously. So now we're going to get into the spousal benefits. So for higher earners, you collect the individual benefit from full retirement age onward. The lower earner is going to start at full retirement age and then start collecting spousal benefits until age 70. And then at age 70, the lower earner switches to his or her own benefit if they are larger than the spousal benefits. So this is a maximization strategy once again. Here's the other point here. A lot of individuals out there, in fact, a majority of the individuals out there are completely unaware of this opportunity. Unaware of this opportunity. So this is just 3 examples, but there could be potentially be many more opportunities for us in discussions that we're having with our clients. Now here's an example. We're going to go with Kelly, age 66. She is divorced. And here are the Social Security benefit scenarios. Strategy 1. Kelly's going to claim at 66 Her monthly benefits are $2,000 for life. Strategy 2, claim first spousal benefits from age 66 to age 70, which is $1,000, or claim later her own benefits when she turns 70, which are $2,640. Strategy 2, obviously, a 32% increase in monthly benefits and a 15% increase in her lifetime benefits. So as you can see, this is a powerful message that we can be relaying to an individual that is divorced and was completely unaware of these additional benefits that she could be receiving. So I'm going to stop for a second before we go to the conclusions and see if you have any questions. Now, I know I went through a lot of information in a very short period of time, and you're probably inundated with a lot of information overload right now. But I want to stop for 1 second and see if anybody has any questions at this time. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds. Okay, let's see. Can you send out the... Okay. All right, let me just see here. Okay, I see a lot of questions. All right. Unfortunately, yeah, the slides are going to be available and sent. That's definitely, I want to handle that one. Okay, someone else said, I'll deal with that one later. Yeah, almost, okay. Okay, all right. A lot, there's too many questions to handle right at this time. I apologize. We're going to end up going over the time. I want to try and keep this in about an hour's time. So just bear with me for a second. Okay. All right. So the first one that I wanted to handle, the question was, will the slides be available? Absolutely. Individual opportunities for conversations with myself and any type of individual client situations that you would like to discuss, I'll be more than happy to handle those as well. And like I said, this is a lot of information, but I do want to reference back to the fact that it's information. A lot of this stuff you do not need to know. You just need to be able to speak intelligently to a client about what you can do for them in order to make sure that the maximization strategy that they are looking for, their individual situation, is handled. So I just want to conclude here that Social Security is a right. Everyone is eligible to receive it. There's many considerations that must be made before claiming the benefits and when, as we went through a number of different scenarios there with respect to when you're first eligible and also with respect to spousal and also survivor benefits. Advice by the many is needed to make the right choice. So this is just going to reference back to the amount of individuals that are currently going to be on Social Security in the coming years. They need your advice. They need our support. They need to have planning in place so that they are definitely getting what they deserve and what they've paid taxes into for these number of years. You can be the trusted advisor to these needs. You don't need to be an expert. Rely on myself and the services that we provide here at Pinnacle Financial to help you with that. Any specific questions that you have with respect to individual client needs, we can put together a plan that's going to ultimately accommodate what those individual clients' needs and wants are. So here is my information. If you would like to contact me, we can also set up a time that it would be convenient for you in order to go over any specific scenarios that you would like to cover. And then since we have a little bit of time, let me just go through and see about these questions real quick. Like I said, there were quite a few here, but let me just see which one. All right, Judith said. Okay, Judith, your question would be 1934. Okay, and what's this one? This one is, I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties with the question screen. Okay. Bear with me for a second. All right. Unfortunately, I'm having some technical difficulties with the question screen. I can't actually see them. So what I'm going to do is any individual that has a specific question on the presentation or any specific questions on any clients that you would like to discuss with me, I would encourage you to either email me or call me, and I can handle those in an individualized setting. And like I said, I'm sorry that I'm having some technical difficulties with the question screen, but at this point, I don't want to take up any more of your time, and I appreciate you all attending this session. I'm sure that there are a lot of questions and clients that you've considered during our time together, and I hope that everyone is staying safe during these times, and I look forward to speaking to you all in the near future. So thank you again, and look forward to speaking to you.